Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, bro. Just give me a minute. Okay, I'm not able to record this class. Looks like we have used all the cloud storage, but it's okay. We are YouTube live. Okay, let's get started with the prayers and then we'll go ahead. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालय कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं भङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपः तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to each and every one of you. Vancha kalpatarubhishta kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much for your very, very kind association. So we are in this chapter, that is chapter number 15, which is entitled The Pandavas Retire Timely. And if I'm not wrong, we are in verse number 32. Yeah, we stopped at 31 last Thursday. So we'll start with text number 32. So what happened? That Arjun's strong feeling of separation from Krishna were depicted by Arjun, and Arjun remembered all the favors and the protection that Krishna has given to him. He also remembered the intimate relationship of friendship that he had with Krishna and how Krishna took the menial servant of becoming the chariot driver for Arjun in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. This way, Arjun was remembering each and everything that it was possible only because of Lord Shri Krishna was there. Finally, Arjuna situates himself in the instructions that he got from Bhagavad Gita. It's not that all the while Arjuna has forgotten, but now when he was feeling that intense separation from Krishna, those instructions were relived by Arjuna. And thus, remembering all the instructions from Krishna, his mind got pacified. And then Sutta Goswami mentions that once somebody follows the instructions of Krishna, then one becomes wealthy of the spiritual assets. And because one becomes wealthy of the spiritual assets, naturally all the doubts get destroyed. Same thing happened with Arjun also, that he was wealthy in the spiritual assets by remembering the instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And thus Vishoka, all his shoka, all the lamentation, the hankering that he had, they all vanquished, all the doubts vanquished. And finally he became free from the modes of material nature, and thus, when he became free from the material nature, there was no longer entanglement of this samsara, that is death and birth. Yeah, this was the verse that Vishoka Brahma Sampatya. Sampatya means getting the spiritual assets. Sanchinna Dvaita Samshaya. And therefore all the doubts were destroyed, they vanquished. Lina Prakriti Nirgunyat Alingatvat Asambhava. So he got freed even from the subtle body. That is, his mind got purified, his intelligence got purified, and his ego also got purified. And when he was devoid of subtle body, then there was no question of getting the material or the gross body. Thus he got become free from the entanglement of birth and death. Moving on from verse number 32. So from verse number 32 till verse number 44, this chapter has 51 verses. So from 32 to 44 describes how Maharaj Yudhishthir also got affected. That devotion of Arjun that he had was rubbed on even on Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he also decided to retire timely. So we are in that section. Nishamya Bhagavan Margam Samstham Yadukulasya cha Swapathaya Matim Chakre Nibhratatma Yudhishthira. It's a very beautiful verse where it says Nishamya. Nishamya means he was deliberating. He was contemplating on what? On whatever Arjun said. Also, he was contemplating all the instructions that Krishna gave it to Arjun. So even Maharaj Yudhishthir was also deliberating on Bhagavan Margam. Margam means the way that Krishna has shown in Kurukshetra battle. So Bhagavan Margam, the skillful arrangement that Krishna has made, the Margam, the path that Krishna has showed. Now Maharaj Yudhishthir was also consciously deliberating on those thoughts. Samstham yadukulasya cha. And he understood that now it has ended. The entire Yadukul, the entire dynasty of King Yadu has been come to end, has been annihilated. So then what he did, Swapathaya Matim Chakre. Swa here refers to Krishna's abode. So Krishna's abode, he wants to, Matim Chakre means, Matim means his intelligence. He desired to accept, to walk on the path of, he decided that I should walk on the path that will lead to Krishna's abode. So he wants to become a renunciant. He wants to retire. He wants to renounce everything. Nipratatma Yudhishthira. So Yudhishthir Maharaj has decided, he was deliberating on the path, on the mark that was shown by Bhagavan, Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And he came to know that now Yadu dynasty has been annihilated, has come to an end. So, therefore, he fixed his intelligence. He desired to walk on the path of Lord Shri Krishna, the abode of the Supreme Lord, he decided. But Nibratatma means lonely and alone. Prabhupada says it's lonely and alone, which also means that he didn't reveal this. He didn't reveal this plan that Yudhishthir Maharaj had to anyone, not even to his wife Draupadi. So he didn't reveal his plan, Nibratatma, without revealing anybody about his plan. In his mind only, he deliberated, he contemplated, and decided to leave everything. Yudhishthir Maharaj. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mm.
Upon hearing of Lord Krishna's returning to his abode, and after understanding the end of the Yadu dynasty's earthly manifestation, Maharaj Yudhishthira decided to go back home, back to Godhead.
Thank you, Salamani Mataji. So Prabhupada writes in his purport, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Yudhishthir also turned his attention to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. That is what is Bhagavad Margam. In the first line it says, right, Nishamya Bhagavan Margam. So what is Bhagavan Marg is to turn your attention towards the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. He began to deliberate on the Lord's ways of appearance and departure. The mission of Lord's appearance and disappearance in the mortal universe is completely dependent on his supreme will. So the Supreme Lord decides when he has to come and when he has to leave. We are forced, but Lord Shri Krishna is not. So his appearance and disappearance, his mission, his annihilation is all by his supreme will. He is not forced to appear and disappear, right? As the living beings appear and disappear by the laws of nature. But the Lord, he comes by his own Swamayaya, his Atmamayaya, his internal energy. He is like the sun. The sun appears and disappears on its own accord. The sun appears in the morning in India without disappearing from the Western Hemisphere. So Prabhupada is writing, if the sun is present everywhere and anywhere, but it so appears that in a particular place the sun appears in the morning and also disappears at some time fixed in the evening. So right now in US it is evening, but in India it's early morning. So, but that doesn't mean that if it is evening in US, that sun has gone somewhere. No, sun is still there. Okay, it's always, but it unmanifested in US. And when in India it's morning, so sun got manifested in US. So the time limitation even of the sun is of no concern, then what to speak of the Supreme Lord? Because Supreme Lord says that even the sun and the moon, they carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord out of fear of the Supreme Lord. Right, there's a verse also in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is by the fear of the Lord that sun and moon and all the demigods, they are carrying out the orders of the Supreme Lord, who is the creator and controller of the sun. If we cannot control the time limitation of the sun, then what can we understand about the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Lord? Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that anyone who factually understands the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord is placed in the eternal spiritual sky where the Vaikuntha planets are there. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvata tektva deham punarjanma naiti mameti suvarjuna. The famous verse of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Such liberated person can eternally live without the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma mrityu, jara vyadhi. In the spiritual sky, the Lord of those who are eternally engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord are eternally young because there is no old age, there is no death. Because there is no death, there is no birth. It is concluded, therefore, that simply by understanding Lord's appearance and disappearance in actuality, in truth, one can attain the perfectional stage of eternal life. That's why he says, Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam. My janma, my karma, it is transcendental. And nobody can understand this absolute truth. But those who understands this under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, Tyaktva deham punarjanma, then when they leave this body, they don't come back. They always go with one-way ticket. They don't have the two-way ticket. So therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthir also began to consider now going back to Godhead, to renounce everything and fix his mind completely on the marg, on the path that was shown by the Supreme Lord. The Lord appears on the earth or any other mortal planet along with his associates who live with him eternally. And the members of the Yadu family were engaged in supplementing the pastimes of the Lord and no other than his eternal associates. So, this is an important point. It will come in future verses also, but Prabhupada is telling way ahead of time that how it says that Yadukul was annihilated, all the Yadavas were gone, but actually where they went, they are the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. They came to help the Supreme Lord. They came to help in supplementing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So, in one sense, we are not supposed to say that they are annihilated. They winded up the pastimes with Krishna. So, Krishna has decided that now is the time that the Yadus should wind up. Hence, they winded up. And so, Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brother and mother, etc. Since the appearance and disappearance of the Lord and his eternal associates are transcendental, one should not be bewildered by the external features of appearance and disappearance. So one should not be bewildered because for Supreme Lord, it is just by His will that He appears and He disappears from this world. That's why we don't celebrate the disappearance day of the Supreme Lord, like for Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Balaram, or Mahaprabhu, or Nityananda Prabhu. We celebrate their appearances. We don't celebrate their disappearances. Why? Because they don't disappear. They just wind up their pastimes and they are there in some other universe performing some other pastimes. So their pastimes, their appearance, their disappearance, everything is eternal because the Supreme Lord is eternal. And therefore, anything that is associated with the Lord is also eternal. So finally, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he contemplated and he decided that now is the time for me also to retire, to renounce this kingdom and go home back to Godhead. Text 33. पृथाप्यनुसृत्य धनञ्जदित्तं नाशं यदूनां भगवद्गतिं च ताम् एकान्तभक्त्या भगवत्तशोक्षजे निवेशितात्मो पररामसंस्थे. Now here we are talking about Pritha. Pritha means Kunti Maharani. Api also. So Kunti Maharani also, what happened when this discussion was going on between Arjun, Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas, Maharani Kunti was also present there. And Anushrutya, she overheard Dhananja Uditam, what was spoken by Dhananjaya. So she overheard the words, the conversation that was happening between the Pandavas. So she overheard. Now, this line, this words also shows that Kunti Maharani didn't go with Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. Sometimes this question is asked that, oh, when Gandhari and Dhritarashtra left, because Vidur, Mahatma Vidur, he chastised Dhritarashtra, that how come you are staying like a household dog and you are accepting the remnants that has been provided by Bhima. You should have your own self-respect. You have lost the kingdom. You have lost the battle, you have lost all your sons, and still you are here. So when Mahatma Vidur chastised Dhritarashtra along with Gandhari, they left Hastinapur. And Vidura accompanied them. And but Kunti Maharani didn't. Because if Kunti Maharani had accompanied them, then how come Kunti Maharani is here in Hastinapur? Because here the verse says, Prithapya Anushrutya Dhananjaditam. Whatever Dhananjaya spoke, Pritha, or the daughter of Prithu, Prithu means Kunti Maharani. Pritha is Kunti Maharani. And Krishna and Arjun is known as Parth. So she overheard the conversation. Nasham, what conversation she heard? Nasham yadunam bhagvat gatim chatam. She overheard the conversation and she came to know that the annihilation of Yadus have happened. Means the Yadu dynasty have been completely destroyed, means annihilated. It has come to an end. Bhagavat Gatim Chatan, and even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, God Shri Krishna, he has also winded up his pastimes and he has gone back to his abode. Bhagavat Gatim, Gatim means he has also disappeared from this material world. Then what she did? Ekanta Bhaktya Bhagavati Adhokshaje. Then she engaged herself in devotional service. But what kind of devotional service? Ekanta Bhaktya. With unalloyed devotion, she engaged herself unto whom? Bhagavati Adhokshaja. Unto Lord Shri Krishna, who is Adhokshaja. And we have come across many times this word where adhokshaja means that someone who cannot be perceived by material senses, and that is our Supreme Lord. So she engaged herself in devotional service, and that too with unalloyed devotion unto the Supreme Lord. How she did it? Niveshetatma means by full attention. With full attention, she got engaged in devotional service unto Supreme Lord when she overheard the words that were uttered by Arjun, that how Yadu dynasty has come to an end and Krishna also has disappeared from this mortal world. So, Upararama Samsritat. Therefore, what was the result of engaging in devotional service with unalloyed devotion, with full attention? What was the result? She also got released. Upararama means she also got released. Released from what? Samstrahe, all the material existence. So she also got released from the material existence. Somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna. Mother.
Hare Krishna.
Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the end of the Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Krishna, engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention, and thus gained the release from the course of material existence.
Thank you, Gaurang Prabhu. So she also got released from the course of material existence. And that's the result. That's the result of engaging oneself in the pure devotional service of the Supreme Lord, Adhokshara. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the setting of the sun does not mean the end of the sun. We discussed this in the previous verse. That the setting of the sun doesn't mean that the sun has gone or it's an end of the sun. No. It means that the sun is out of our sight. Like for US, right now you don't see the sun. Why? That doesn't mean that sun is gone. It means from your sight, the sun is invisible. But somewhere else, the sun is visible. Similarly, the end of the mission of the Lord on a particular planet or universe only means that he is out of our sight. The end of Yadu dynasty also does not mean that it is annihilated. It disappeared along with the Lord. It is also out of our sight. Why? Because they are also eternal associates of the Supreme Lord, and they came here for some specific purpose to help the Supreme Lord in carrying out his pastime. Maharaj Yudhishthir decided to prepare go home back to Godhead. And so also Kunti decided that she will also engage herself in transcendental devotional service of the Lord, which guarantees one a passport for going home back to Godhead after quitting this material present body. So, what is the guarantee? By engaging one in pure devotional service. That is the guarantee that one gets a passport for going home back to God. The beginning of devotional service of the Lord is the beginning of spiritualizing the present body. And thus, an unalloyed devotee of the Lord loses all material contact in the present body. So, in the start, what happens when we begin the devotional service? It is simply spiritualizing ourselves. Okay, but slowly and slowly we get disconnected even with the material desires, slowly with the material body, and then finally with the material subtle body. Because the hardest to give is our ahankar. That is the hardest because that's the covering that is given by Maya. First of all, Jiva is in ignorance, and Jiva, out of that ignorance, decides to enjoy separately from Krishna. And therefore, Jiva is situated in this world from time immemorial. But when the Jiva decides out of ignorance, then Maya takes over and Maya says, okay, now you are here on my lap. So I will pat you, I will give you all the comforts of life. And she traps the Jiva. And then Jiva is already under ignorance. And then Maya gives another covering, the covering of Ahankar. Because the Jiva has certain desires, Maya facilitates that desire by giving a gross body as well as the subtle body. So she gives a particular kind of ahankar. That's why an ahankar of a lion is different, ahankar of a horse is different, ahankar of an insect is different, ahankar of a human is different. We all are under some or the other ahankars. And that is given by Maya, who is also working under the direction of the Supreme Lord only. But that's her job. So she gives that ahankar by which the jiva is eternally trapped in this material world and becomes a nitya baddha. So the hardest to give, the thickest layer of all the 8 bhinna prakritis, ashtada bhinna prakriti, is this false ego, is this ahankar. So, Prabhupada is writing that the beginning of devotional service of the Lord, when we try to begin, when we try to develop that sambandha with the Supreme Lord, that is simply beginning and that is spiritualizing our material body. But as and when we grow in our devotion, in our service to the Supreme Lord, and our devotion becomes unalloyed, then we start losing all the material desires and thus all the contacts which are with this material body. So the abode of the Lord is not a myth. It is not a myth, as it is thought by so many ignorant people, especially Mayavadis. But one cannot reach there by any material means, like a Sputnik or a space capsule. Prabhupada says, forget about this going to the Supreme Lord's abode. Going to the Supreme Lord abodes mean that you are crossing the covering of this material existence, which is impossible by the help of some space capsule. Prabhupada says, forget about going to the abode of the Supreme Lord, crossing all this material existence. Even going to the moon is not possible. Going to certain planets is not possible. Why? Because you need certain sukriti to go there. So, through this space capsule, through this Sputnik, through this material means, you can go to just certain here and there planets, but not to the moon, because moon is very, very far from Earth. And you need some spiritual credits to go to moon. But one can certainly reach this Vaikuntha planet after leaving this body. And one must prepare himself to go home back to Godhead by practicing devotional service. This Maya is very difficult. It is insurmountable to cross. Daivi Aisha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya Mameva hi prapadyante. But those who are devoted to me, perform devotional service unto me, they practice devotional service, Mameva hi prapadyante, then Maya metam tarantite. Then it is very easy to cross over Maya. This entire Bhavasagar, this entire material existence simply becomes a puddle that is being created by the calf's hoof print, not even cow's hoof print, just by calf's hoof print. And even a small child can cross over. It's not that difficult. So similarly, this entire Bhavsagar, this entire samsara, material existence, it becomes a puddle that is made by the calf hoof prints. So how difficult it is to cross, provided we are engaged in devotional service. If we are not, then the same samsara is extremely difficult to cross over. There are so many aquatic animals, whales, sharks, and these are crocodiles, and these are all the problems, the sufferings or the problems that we face in this world. There are all different types of aquatics that are there. And on top of that, the sea is very turbulent. It's not so peaceful. It's very hard to cross over. So, what is guaranteed? Only by devotional service, it is guaranteed to go to the Supreme Lord. That's why Kunti Maharani understood this fact and finally adopted this method. That guarantees a passport for going back home to Godhead. And Kunti Maharani, knowing this, adopted this process. So, what she did? Ekanta Bhakta Bhagavati Adhokshare. She got engaged in Ekanta Bhakti and Nivishetatma Paranama Samsrite. And therefore, she also, because she did Ekanta Bhakti with full devotion, with full attention, she also got released from the material existence. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu, you want to add something?
Mata, this word uparamam, which is used here in this sloka, is herself has used in Kunti's prayer, Mata. 1.8.30 I just put there, where she says that, Srunvanti gayanti gururanti bhikshana smaranti nandanti tavehitam janaha te ev pashyanti achirana tavakam bhava prava upararam padambuja. When Bhava Prava is over, that's where they will be able to see your feet. And then so it's really incidental that the same word here is used in this context, and she also spoke that word there in her prayers to Lord Sri Krishna. I just wanted to share that.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Praladananda Prabhu. And this also shows that Kunti Maharani, simply when she offered her prayers, they were heartfelt prayers. She understood. They were not the prayers just as a lip service. It was heartfelt. It was deep because she knows what she is praying for. And therefore now she is practicing what she prayed for. So thank you, Praladananda Prabhu, for quoting this verse. Thank you so much. Text 34. Yaya harat bhuvo bharam tam tanum vijahau ajaha kantakam kantake neva dvayam chapi shitu samam. So now it's a beautiful analogy that is being given. Yaya arhat bhuvo bharam. So that which took away from this world what? The weight, the burden. Tam tanum vijau adaha. So the supreme unborn Lord Shri Krishna, he caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies. And thus he relieved the entire earth from this bhar, from this burden. How? Kantakam, kantakneva. Just like when you have a thorn in your foot, how you take out the thorn? By using another thorn, by using a needle, a sharp object. So a thorn can be taken out with the help of a thorn, Doyam chapito sho samaha. And Krishna doesn't find any difference. For him, it's the same. So, how to understand this? The Supreme Unborn Lord Shri Krishna, okay, somebody can read the translation. Hmm.
Hare Krishna Mataji
Hmm.
Prabhupada Srila Prabhu. The Supreme Unborn Lord Sri Krishna caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, and thus he relieved the burden of the world. This action was like picking out a thorn with a thorn, though both are the same to the controller. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So they are the same. What are the same? We will see. So why this verse comes? Why Sutta Goswami says this verse? Because when Sutta Goswami was describing about the condition of the Pandavas, Kunti Maharani, how they were feeling intense separation from Krishna, and Krishna also winded up his pastime and he left to his abode. At that time, all the Shaunakadi rishis, they were very aggrieved. They were very heartbroken hearing the departure of the Yadus and the Supreme Lord. So, to assure them that this was all under the plan of the Lord, Sutta Goswami quotes this verse that don't worry, don't become so disheartened that how Yadus they fought among themselves, killed each other, and this is the way they left. But Sutta Goswami says, don't worry, this was all under the plan of the Supreme Lord. Not a blade of grass moves without the permission of the Supreme, without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So he assured that Lord is the cause of everything. So then he says that he removed this burden, which arises by removing a thorn with the tip of another thorn. So the verse does not say that they gave up the body, the Yadavas, because they were performing their eternal pastimes. Okay, they are the amshas of the Lord. They entered into an eternal form belonging to the Yadavas. So, what Krishna did is, Krishna made certain arrangement that those eternal forms, by the power of Yogamaya, they went to their abode, okay, their own abode, where they still are assisting the Supreme Lord in that spiritual Dwarka. But some demigods who entered into those Nitya devotees who were performing, they were the one who went to Prabhasa Kshetra, and when they were annihilated, they also attained back to their Swarga with the forms of like devatas by drinking liquor, because the devatas, they are very prone in drinking liquor. Okay, so one must understand that the Yadavas were also eternal associates of the Lord, and they disappeared from the sight just like Krishna disappeared. But where did they go? They went to that spiritual Dwarka only to assist. But those amshas of demigods who were present, they left their body and they went to Prabhasa Kshetra, fought, and they finally got back to their abode of Swarga. Okay, so in this example, the two thorns, they are equal. So what are the two thorns? The thorns are Lord's devotees and Lord's enemies. So actually, the Lord doesn't have any enemy, but there are people who have that animosity towards the Lord. So that means the suras and asuras. So for them, for Lord, it's all the same. So therefore, it says bhuva bharam, right? So actually, the Yadus were not the burden on earth, they are the eternal associates. But Krishna says that once the pastime is done, once the mission is accomplished, then everything is the burden on earth. So therefore, bhuva bharam, therefore it says that he relieved the burden of the world. So that means all the amshas of demigods who were present in that body of Yadus, the Yadavas, they were also relieved from this body and they went back to Swarga. So that's how we have to understand. But this is all under the influence of the Supreme Lord's energy. So he is the one who caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, and thus he relieved the burden of the world. This action was like pricking out a thorn with a thorn, though both are the same to the controller. We'll see the purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he suggests that the rishis like Shaunaka and others who were hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Sutta Goswami, they were not happy to hear about the Yadus dying in the madness of intoxication, the way they die at Prabhasa Kshetra. To give them relief from this mental agony, Sutta Goswami assured them that the Lord caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their body. It was Lord's decision. The Lord and his eternal associates appeared on earth to help the administrative demigods in eradicating the burden of the world. Because why the Lord appears? To annihilate the miscreants. The miscreants were the burden on the earth. He therefore called for some of the confidential demigods to appear in the Yadu family and serve them and serve him in this great mission. After the mission was fulfilled, the demigods, by the will of the Lord, they also relinquished their body by fighting among themselves in the madness of intoxication. Prabhupada writes, the demigods are accustomed to drink the somaras, and therefore drinking of wine and intoxication are unknown to them. Sometimes they are put into trouble for indulging in intoxication, just like the sons of Kuvera. They also fell in the wrath of Narada for being intoxicated. But afterwards, when they were freed from the curse, they regained their original forms by the grace of Lord Shri Krishna, Nalakuvera and Manigriva, the sons of Kuvera. We will find this story in the 10th canto. It's a Damodar Leela, okay? Now, for the Supreme Lord, both the Asuras, see here, Prabhupada is writing, both the Asuras and the demigods are equal. For him, they are equal. But the demigods, they are obedient to the Lord, where the Asuras are not. Therefore, the example of picking out a thorn by another thorn is quite befitting. One thorn which causes pinpricks to the leg of the Lord is certainly disturbing to the Lord. And the other thorn which takes out the disturbing element certainly gives service to the Lord. So in this case, who is pinpricking the leg of the Lord? It's the Asuras. And who is helping the Lord in taking out that thorn are the demigods. So demigods are also, Asuras are also the thorn and Asuras are also thorn. But Asuras, they are not obedient, where the demigods are obedient servants of the Lord. So these demigods, they are also thorns, but they help the Supreme Lord to take out another thorn that is pinpricking the leg of the Supreme Lord. So they give service to the Lord. So although every living entity is a part and parcel of the Lord, even Asuras are part and parcel of the Lord, still one who is a pinprick to the Lord, they are known as Asuras. And one who voluntary servitor of the Lord is called a Devata or a demigod. In the material world, Devatas and Asuras, they are always contending. And Devatas are always saved from the hands of the Asuras by the Lord. Why? Because they are obedient servants of the Supreme Lord. Both of them are under the control of the Lord. Both are working under the direction of the Lord. The world is full of two kinds of living beings. And the Lord's mission is always to protect the Devatas and destroy the Asuras. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. And whenever there is such a need in the world, and to do good for both of them, the Lord appears. So factually, in our real sense, we see that the Supreme Lord annihilates all these demons. But we know through Shastras that after these demons are killed by the Supreme Lord, they also reach the higher abode. So it looks like that Krishna is favoring the demigods by killing the demons. But in actuality, Krishna is favoring both. The demigods are saved from the wrath or from the problems that are being created by the demons. On the other hand, the demons are also saved because they are reinstated in their original position. That is because everybody is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So they are also favored. Like we see all the demons, Shishupal, Kamsa, Dantavakra, all these, they got reinstated in their original position and they have been killed by the Supreme Lord. So killing the demons by the Supreme Lord has also become the mercy. It's a blessing in disguise to the Supreme Lord. So actually there is a very beautiful contest that comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita also about this Jagai and Madhai. Right, so Jagai and Madhai says that after they have been purified, because Nityananda Prabhu, he decided that I will turn them, both Jagai and Madhai, I'll turn them into these pure devotees. So all these people of Navadvip, they were very fed up with the actions of Jagai and Madhai. And they were so sinful that these Navadvip people, if somebody sees them, they will go and take bath in Ganga, because they say just by seeing them they have become so contaminated, and to purify them they go and take bath in Ganga just by seeing Jagai and Madai. That was their position in Navadvip, that they were so sinful. And when Nityananda Prabhu saw both of them, he pledged to Haridas Thakur that I will make them into so first class Vaishnavas that from here onwards, whosoever will see them will think that they have taken Ganga Snan, that they have already bathed in Ganga. So that was the position, that was the condition that the Supreme Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he made. And he said, I'll make them and turn them into first class Vaishnavas. And when Supreme Lord's pledges, who can defy that? Who can ignore it? So finally, Jagai and Madai, they became pure devotees. And when they became pure devotees, then they said that now here onwards, people will understand that how Mahaprabhu is so compassionate, is really a Patita Pavan, because we have been delivered by Mahaprabhu, by the mercy and by the compassion of Mahaprabhu. So there, Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat, he mentions in that episode that Jagai and Madai, once they were there with Mahaprabhu and they declared this in front of all the associates of Mahaprabhu, that yes, in your previous incarnations you have killed the demons, but and demons also got some higher abode. Some got Sayujya Mukti, some got Sarupya Mukti, some got Samipya Mukti. They were also liberated because they were killed by you. But this fact is known only to them who have studied the Shastras, that how the demons were also liberated. This fact is not known to everybody, because with their material eyes, with their material conditioning, they just saw that the demons are annihilated. They have been killed brutally by Krishna. How Keshi was killed, how Arishtasur was killed, they just saw that. But later, what happened to the soul, who knows? Like in Hindi, he says, right? Jungle mein mor nacha, kisne dekha? Who saw peacock dancing in the jungle? But right now, in the city, when peacock is dancing, everybody is seeing. So Jagai and Madai is saying that yes, what happened to their soul only few knows, those who have studied the Shastras. Rest, nobody knows what happened to their soul, what happened to Kamsa, what happened to Arishtasura, what happened to Dhenukasura. Nobody knows. But now, when you have turned us into pure devotees, everybody is seeing. Because we have been transformed by your mercy. Who we were and what we are now, that major drastic transformation is now visible to the eyes of all the Navadvip Vasis. So he says, Mahaprabhu, your compassion is beyond this world. It's beyond any compare. You are the most merciful because you have transformed the sinners. That's why Nityananda Prabhu says that Mahaprabhu's mission was to hate the sin, not the sinners. Therefore, Mahaprabhu didn't come with a weapon to kill anybody. Because if he would have come, then everybody of us would be annihilated. Because we are nowhere to sit at the position where we can be relieved by the wrath, by the anger of Mahaprabhu. But because his mission was to destroy the sin, not the sinner, we all are saved. And he is Patita Pavan. He is really a Patita Pavan. Anyway, I got a little diverted. But this is how he says that the mission is to protect the devatas, to annihilate the asuras, but actually both gets benefit by the Supreme Lord. Sorry, somebody was saying something. Okay. Let's continue. Text 35. यथा मत्स्यादिरूपाणि दत्ते च ह्याद् यथा नटः भूभारा शपितो येन जहौ तच्च कलेवरम् yatha matsyadi. Matsyadi means the incarnation of the Supreme Lord that he takes, sometimes as Matsya, sometimes as Kurma. Right? So yatha matsyadi rupani. So he accepts datte jahyad yatha nataha. So he exactly like a magician. Nata means like a magician. He takes these forms. Bhubhara shapito yena jahu takcha kalevaram. Just like a magician, what he does, he shows some magic. But is that magic a myth or it's a fact? It's a myth. Those who are intelligent, they know that this magician, whatever he's showing is a myth. It's not real. Sometimes he would cut himself, sometimes he would burn himself. He would do all kind of things, but nothing happens. Similarly, here Supreme Lord also looks like that he has given up the body. But actually, there is no difference between the Supreme Lord's body and the Supreme Lord. They all are eternal. So we'll spend some time on this verse because it is a very important verse. And so somebody can read translation.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Param, I can read.
Mm.
Supreme Lord relinquished the body, which he manifested to diminish the burden of the earth. Just like a magician, he relinquishes one body to accept different ones, like the fish incarnation and others.
Thank you, Madhurami Mataji. So the Supreme Lord also left his body. Now, this is the topic of debate. Some say that how can the Supreme Lord leave his body? Because when he went back to his abode, he went with the same body, which is right. Why? Because there is no difference between the Supreme Lord's body and the Supreme Lord himself. Supreme Lord's body is not made up of earth, water, air, fire, ether. Okay, it's not something material, it's spiritual. So Supreme Lord went back with the same body. But here Sutta Goswami says that he relinquished the body and he gave up his body. But here he says, just like a magician, he relinquishes one body and accepts different ones, like the fish incarnation and others. Like the Supreme Lord when he comes as Matsya, as Kurma. So after that mission is completed, the Supreme Lord leaves that body, right? But that doesn't mean that this Matsya or the Kurma, they are not the eternal forms of the Lord. Of course, in Vaikuntha Loka, we have this Matsya Loka, Kurma Loka, Narsimha Loka. Those who are attached to such certain forms of the Supreme Lord, they go to this certain planets. Then how to understand this verse? Prabhupada very beautifully explains. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is neither personal nor formless, but his body is non different from him, and therefore he is known as the embodiment of Satchit Ananda, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Now, in the Brihat Vaishnava Tantra, it is clearly mentioned that anyone who considers the form of Lord Shri Krishna to be made of material energy must be ostracized by all means. Let's see this verse. It's a very beautiful verse, and you all are aware of this verse. Provided you have read Srila Prabhupada's purport very nicely. It's in Bhagavad Gita 9.12. See here he writes from Brihad Vishnu Smriti. Yo veti bhautikam deham krishnasya paramatmanah sa savar sarvasmat bahishkara shrauta smarta vidanatah mukham tasyavalokyapi sachelam snanam acharet. Those who understand that Krishna, who is Paramatma, has a deha, has a body which is bhautik, which is made up of material things. His body is also a material body. That person should be bahishkara, should be avoided. As per all the Shruti and Smriti, they say that one should do bahishkar, one should drive away that person who has this mentality that the Supreme Lord body is made up of material things, or his material body is is different from the Supreme Lord. Those who have that kind of mentality, Shruti and Smriti, all these Vedic scriptures, they declare that we should do bahishkar of that person. We should simply drive away from drive away that person from our society. Mukham tasyavakalokyapi. And if somehow somebody sees his face who has this contaminated mentality, sachalam snanam achare. That person should go and take bath in Ganga immediately to purify himself, because he has seen the face of such person. Like we saw in the previous verse, that how Jagai and Madai, they were so sinful, they have so sinful mentality also, that any Navadvipvasi who sees them will go and take bath in Ganga. That's what they're saying. Mukham tasyavalokyapi sachalim snanam achare. They should immediately go and take snan in Ganga, take bath in Ganga, when they see somebody who is so sinful, who understands that Krishna has a material body. So one who considers the body of Krishna to be material should be driven out from all rituals and activities of Shruti and Smriti. And if by chance they see his face, then one should at once take bath in Ganga to rid themselves from such an infection. Okay, so same here also, he is saying. It is clearly mentioned that anyone who considers the form of Lord Krishna to be made of material energy must be ostracized by all means. And if by chance the face of such an infidel is seen, then one must clean himself by jumping in the river with the vastra on, with his clothing. Vastra sahit, go and take bath in Ganga. The Lord is described as Amrita, he or deathless. There can be no death for Lord Shri Krishna, because he has no material body. Death happens those who have material body. Under the circumstances, the Lord's dying or quitting his body is like a jugglery of a magician. The magician shows by his trick that he is cut to pieces, burned to ashes, or made unconscious by some hypnotic influences. We see, but all they are false shows only. They are all false shows. Because he cannot cut to pieces, he cannot burn to ashes, or it is all by his hypnotic influences that he shows the people that something has happened. So it is all myth, it is all false. Factually, the magician himself is neither burned to ashes nor cut to pieces, nor he is dead or unconscious at any stage of his magical demonstration. Similarly, the Lord and his eternal forms of unlimited variety, of which the fish incarnation, as was exhibited within this universe, is also one. So, example is given of fish, but it can be many other. So, Matsya Adi, other incarnations also. Now, because there are innumerable universes, somewhere or other that Matsya avatar must be manifesting his pastime without any cessation. In this verse also, the particular word datte, eternally accepted, and not the word dhitva, which is accepted for certain occasion, is used. So what is used? Datte jahyad yatha nataha. He gave up this body. But how? Just like a magician. Datte means he eternally accepts a particular body. Right? The idea is that the Lord does not create the fish incarnation. It is eternal. It has eternal form, his appearance and disappearance. They all are eternal. There is a Matsya Loka, there is a Kurma Loka in Vaikuntha planet. The impersonalist thinks that the Lord doesn't have a form. Avajananti mam mula, manushyam tanumashritam. They understand that I have some material form or I am formless altogether. But this is not true. And why they have this understanding? Because I gave them understanding. I don't want to disclose my form to anybody and everybody. Such speculators are factually without any sharp intelligence. Though they may be good scholars, but they are practically ignorant of my inconceivable energies and my eternal forms of personality. The reason is that I reserve the power of not being exposed to the non-devotees by my mystic curtain. Prahladananda Prabhu, you know this verse, right? That the Supreme Lord himself hides his identity to non-devotees. You want to quote?
Is it that Avajananti Mam
Yes, Avajananti Mamuda Manushyam.
Manusim Tanumasa, 9.11, yes.
So the less intelligent fools are therefore unaware of my eternal form, which is never to be vanquished and is unborn. It is Ajaha. In the Padma Puran, it is said that those who are envious and always angry at the Lord, they are unfit to know the actual and the eternal form of the Lord. Why? Because they don't have sambandha. Krishna was walking there, and he was walking amidst all the Kauravas, Duryodhan and this Shakuni. Were they able to understand that he is the Supreme Lord? No. Then how he protected himself of not disclosing himself to them? It was only by the curtain of Yoga Maya. It's the curtain of Yoga Maya that helps Krishna not to disclose his supremacy to everyone. So we saw that these are the two kinds of forgetfulness. One is under Devi Prakritim, one is under Maya or the external energy. So those who are under eternal energy, like Mother Yashoda, Nand Maharaj, all the cowherd boys, they also defy the supremacy of the Lord. They also say, oh, my Lala or my Sakha, is he a god? Give it a break. He is not. They are also under situation of forgetfulness, but they are under Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya has protected. Whereas those who are materially conditioned, they are under Mahamaya. They are under the external energy of Krishna, where they also defy the supremacy of Krishna and think themselves to be the Ishvara or the controllers. So the Lord only arranges this. Shishupal at that time being killed by the Lord could not see Krishna. Therefore, the temporary manifestation of the Lord as a thunderbolt to the wrestlers that were appointed by Kamsa, or the glaring appearance of the Lord before Shishupal, was relinquished by the Lord. But the Lord as a magician is eternally existent and is never vanquished in any circumstance. Okay, so the Lord never leaves up his body. Such forms are temporary, shown only to the asuras. So now the condition, okay, let's complete this. Such forms are temporarily shown to the asuras only. And when such exhibitions are withdrawn, the asuras think that the Lord is no more existent. Just as the foolish audience thinks that the magician to be burned to ashes or cut to pieces. The conclusion is that the Lord has no material body and therefore he is never to be killed or changed by his transcendental body. So again, the Maushali Leela that happened when that arrow was hit by that hunter Jara on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, that was all arrangement by the Lord. But those who have this asura mentality towards Lord Shri Krishna and those who don't understand his supremacy, they claim that your Krishna is not the Supreme Lord because, see, even he was killed by a hunter. Hunter shot an arrow and even your Lord was killed. So how can the Lord be killed? The Lord cannot be killed. So that means your Krishna is not a Lord. And therefore they come to a conclusion that the Supreme Lord is formless and he is some light or some energy. But that's not true. Krishna make all these arrangements so that atheists can develop their strong faith by seeing such pastimes because he doesn't want those atheists to come to his abode. He says if they are satisfied to know that I have taken this form of human form and I am also a human or an ordinary living being, let them think that way. I am happy. But others, they know that there is no difference between Krishna and his material body, and therefore he is never killed. But he appears and he disappears from the eyes of the living entity. Okay, this is how we have to understand this verse. I'll just try to read a little bit of Shila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. It's the same. Prabhupada has really quoted the essence of everything, but still on a safer side, we'll read. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I'm reading directly from his commentary. Like a magician, Krishna displayed a false show of giving up his own body. How beautiful. The first sentence clears everything. He displayed a false show of giving up his body. The Lord maintains various forms and gives them up. He does not assume forms and then give up. It's his eternal form. Even when he gives up this form, he still has those forms. See how clear Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing. He gives up the form. When he comes as a Matsya avatar, looks like after saving Satyavrat Muni and all the herbs and the plants and everything, he gave up that body. But still he has the body of Matsya. He is residing as Matsya in some Vaikuntha Loka. Or he is doing this pastime of Matsya in some other universe. Because these are all eternal pastimes which are going on. So, how to understand this? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, just as a magician, how he gives up his body by cutting it, burning it, losing consciousness, show the people to make them believe, but still he maintains his body. He does not die. The Lord maintains such forms while maintaining, gives them also, just as a magician still has its body, but he gives up the body that is simply an illusion. And those who are of less intelligence, they understand that, oh, this magician has given up his body and he's dead, he's no more. But those who are intelligent, they know that it was simply a false show that was made by this magician. So Shankaracharya here quotes Amrita Maranam Rahitam Vapur. Amrita means that his body is without death. Prabhupada has also explained this. So this is how we have to understand. Yes, Praladananda Prabhu.
I have asked these questions to many of the orthopedic surgeons, some of my colleagues also. Can someone really die by just one arrow in his foot? You know, there is practically no way that somebody would leave the body because there is an arrow in the foot. Okay, what happens many a time is that if somebody takes out the arrow, then bleeding can occur. Right? And that bleeding can lead to death like that. But anyone who removes that arrow knows how to apply pressure and stop the bleeding. Right? And if his liver functions are okay, the blood will clot and there will be no possibility of somebody really dying because of such a wound like that. So this was just kind of a query I had, and I asked a few of them like that. They said, no, this is not like that. So this is what another kind of thing we can understand, that this was just.
Thank you, Prabhu. See, it's both the ways, as you explained. People can survive from different heart attacks also. Okay, people can survive. They have survived. Again, because their time has not come yet. And there are some who just fall from the bed, maybe some few inches, and they leave their body because their time has come. So for material people, we can understand like this. But for Krishna, everything happens by his own supreme sweet will. He made, because he took this human-like, Narvat Leela, human-like pastime, he came. So naturally, there has to be some arrangement to be made so that to atheists, it looks like that Krishna has left this material world. So those arrangements were made. That's why the Jara, that hunter, was chosen, so that the curse of the rishis can also come true. And so he basically, with one thing, with one arrow, he shots many targets. That's how Krishna plays around. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In none of the scriptures it is clearly mentioned that how he left his body. But looks like that he went in the body of Tota Gopinath. And this way he disappeared. So for the foolish people or for the atheist people, the Lord has to make certain arrangements so that they get this belief that he has left this abode. He has left the material world. But actually, the Supreme Lord was present, is present, and will be present. Krishna looks like he winded up his pastime and went back. But in Vrindavan, still his aprakat leela is there. And those with the purified consciousness can see those aprakat leela happening in front of their eyes. They can even participate in those aprakat leelas of Krishna. Just not seeing, but they can participate also. Why to go far? Even our Shat Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they participated in that leela. So that's how the consciousness should be. But for the material people, contaminated people, those who are always in this world, for them, Krishna winded up his pastime and left for his abode. That's how their understanding is. So this is what Krishna makes it. Like you have already shown. Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. You have quoted this verse. It's Krishna only who steady the faith of these unintelligent people. So that because they are covered by the potency of Krishna only. But thank you so much. So what we will do is that we'll stop here. I have to leave early also. I have some work and also my throat is not supporting. So we'll stop here. I'm winding up 10 minutes early. Sorry for that. But let's see if we have quick questions we can take up. But for the verse, this 36 onwards, Priti Vilas Devadaji will cover on Thursday. Okay, so we'll stop. Yes, Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I just had a comment that the Lord, in some ways, he doesn't need to give up a form to take another form, right? He can simultaneously take forms, and like the way they've showed here that he gives up a form and to move on to the next form or take another form. But our understanding is that the Lord doesn't need to do one thing to do,
Of course,
right?
his pastimes are going on eternally in the universes.
Okay.
Somewhere he's performing that Matsya Leela, somewhere he's performing Narsimha Leela, somewhere he's performing Kurma Leela. His pastimes are eternally going on. So definitely not that he has to give up one form to accept another. The Lord is not limited.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Parambhavani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Navad Pranam. Mataji, mm, I heard in one of the lecture of His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu that he was telling that not only in different universes but also in when a devotee meditate on particular leela of the Lord, in devotee's heart Lord is doing that pastime only. He's like simultaneously early and especially Lord is doing different pastimes.
Very true. Krishna is performing in the heart as Damodar Leela, maybe in your heart, and maybe I'm remembering Mahaprabhu Leela. So Krishna is there as Mahaprabhu Leela. So forget of other universes, even in different hearts of the living entities, Krishna is performing all those pastimes. That's why it is said that these Bhagavatam, this is also real. Okay. It's not some book. Sorry, it's not some scripture that we are reading. When we are reading these pastimes are eternally manifesting in our words. So now when we see that Kunti Maharani and Pandavas, they are retiring, yes, this pastime is going on eternally. So therefore we should make sure that when we study the scripture, at least one section should be over. We should not leave hanging around certain section because that pastime is eternally going on. So we should be very careful for this also. Thank you. Thank you, Parambhavani Mataji. Okay, dear devotees, we'll stop here. Thank you so much for your association. I'm sorry, my throat is really not.
Yes, Mataji, please don't strain yourself. Thank you for new realizations, Mataji. Today's class was extraordinary because certain things unrevealed so well by your explanations. Thank you, Mataji.
All Srila Prabhupada's purport and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So all credit to them. So we'll stop Vancha Kalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ग्रंथ राज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, all the assembled Vaishnavas की जय.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you. Happy to see you, Nisha Mataji,
Oh, thank you.
after a long time. Okay, dear devotees.